How do we remember stuff? What are our memories made of? Those are some of the questions that I never asked myself until I moved from one country to another. Why? Well, I am not sure, but it seems to me that so much has changed that you start questioning everything. When you live in a specific country for 29 years, you get to know all the parts that everything is made of. So it doesn't matter where you go and how different it might look. Those fundamental parts should be so similar that you can help yourself. You mostly know where to go. You speak the language that you assume everybody else speaks. And when something is missing, you just order it on Amazon. But there is no Amazon in Greece. So the first step is to find out the name of the Greek Amazon. And you might say, what's the problem? And I concur. That is not a problem per se, but you have to do these steps for so many different things to find out how the daily life is organized around here, that you start remembering doing those things 10 or maybe even 20 years ago, in your old life, in that other country, during the dark ages that you spent there. So you start dealing with memories more often than you would have expected. And some questions arise from this. For example, do you remember just in pictures or in sound too? The funny or surprising part of my story is that my family moved to Germany twice. The first time was when I was around 3 years old. It was a work-related stay of 5 years. My parents never planned to stay in Germany. They returned to their life in Serbia. For some strange reason, almost all of my memories from this first day in Frankfurt are memories of movies. I watched a lot of movies then, and since there was no streaming, I watched the movies we had over and over again. What is funny to me is that all those memories exclude sound. I don't know if this is usual for that age, but I have all those memories from Goonies, E.T., Invasion, or Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I remember sitting in front of the TV. I vividly remember some scenes and misremember other ones. But there is no sound, nothing. Even the famous scene in Close Encounters at the end lacked the specific sound effects that make it so memorable. So I have no recollection of how good I was at understanding what was told around me. But I seem to not have cared at all. And then all hell broke loose, and my parents decided to return again to Germany. So they paid a German teacher in Belgrade to refresh my knowledge of the language. I remember sitting with her at my desk in my room, doing German lessons. But if you ask me how good my German was, I couldn't tell you. I only got those visual memories and this feeling of sadness that I had to leave this desk and this room. Then, flash forward to me living in Germany. My sister and I are lucky enough to get extra German classes at the school. This was possible when foreign students at German schools were a minority. That has changed. Although they are technically not foreign in most of the cases. They just don't speak German at home. So again, I remember sitting in the classroom, looking at the blackboard. But even now, no sound, no voices, no language. I know a lot of people love to hate television. But I never understood it. I think that watching TV played an important part in helping me learn the German language. It was and is the best place to hear the spoken language. I loved watching TV with my parents, TV shows, famous TV hosts, funny comics, and Formula One. But again, no sound. My first memory that includes sound is a memory of bullying. Yes, that is right. I was bullied because I was a foreigner, bullied by blonde German kids. They made me believe that my ears are too big and my penis too short. I mean, who wouldn't want it the other way? No, but seriously, There were these two boys who enjoyed making fun of my German, and I forgot most of it, but there is this moment that I will never forget, because it is quite a strange memory. At the time I already started reading Erich von Däniken books, and the title of the book, Habe ich mich geirrt, English translation is something like, Was I wrong? Got stuck in my head for some reason. So while waiting for the teacher to return, those two shitheads were making fun of something that I said. I smiled slightly and asked them, Habe ich mich geirrt? It was clearly not the reaction they expected, and they started laughing even louder, and I have no idea what happened next. But me saying, was I wrong in German, is the first clear sound memory I have. In the meantime, I mastered the language, and I never really thought about those details, not until I moved to Greece. Many very wise people have tried to define the meaning of culture. I, as someone who doesn't get paid by tax money to write political fantasy and then call it social science, believe that culture is defined by three fundamentals: religion, cuisine, and language. This is the episode that I write about language. And I can tell you, I am scared as shit. I am afraid that I will not be able to learn Greek, that my hard drive, also known as brain, is already full, and that there is no free space for a fourth language. And I imagine I would need to delete something to make free space, but I don't know how. There is no real manual for stuff like this. And no matter how much I try to remember, I am not sure how I learned German and English. I mean, I did it over time, over a lot of time. And I am afraid that I don't have that time anymore, that I might run out of time. And to be honest, do I have 20 years to learn Greek the same, almost natural way I did it with German and English? Am I maybe too old? Am I already too deep in thinking inside of German-Serbian grammatical structures that my brain is telling me after 3 years, frack off, I don't want to rewrite myself. I don't need this ridiculous excuse for grammar that you call modern Greek. But then I tell myself, relax, you only have been living in Greece for less than 3 years. But shouldn't that be enough to already speak it? Am I too old? Is it too late? I was hoping that the Greek people would push me, but they treat me like a tourist and they speak English with me, and that doesn't help. And when I watch television, there are so many new words, every second, every hour, and even when I try to remember them, a few seconds later, they just leave me without a proper goodbye. And I might recognize some of them a few days later, but I don't remember their meaning, and sometimes I have to look up a word for 5, 7, or 12 times. And months later, when we meet again, this forgotten word and it behaves as if we have never met before. Is that normal? Was it the same with German and English? Or am I too old? Is it just too late? And when I ask, am I too old, I don't mean that my brain is too old to learn a language, but I might have got so used to understanding everything without any problem, and I enjoy being capable of expressing my thoughts and feelings in exactly the way I intended, that I really struggle with this predicament of starting anew again. Can I do it a fourth time? I really am not sure, and that scares me, because I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it at all. It seems to me that I have to immerse myself even more in the spoken language than before. I feel like it is not working out the way I intended it. There is no palpable progress, or at least not enough for my taste. Let me give you the small example. Let's take the word excursion. This is of course a Latin word that is used in the English language. But you can also use it in German, Exkursion, or in Serbian, Exkursija. Isn't it nice? Then there is the word destruction. Feel free to use it in Serbian, destrukcija, and even in German, Destruktion. You might sound a little bit pretentious, but who cares? The chances are very high that your speaking partner has read more than one book and knows what you mean. And don't forget the word gratulation. Gratulation, gratulacja. See, you now speak 3 different languages. The reason is, of course, that English, German, and Serbian all use the same Latin pool. You know who doesn't do it? The Greeks. They are still fighting the good fight against the cultural influence of the Roman Empire. In modern Greece, you have to pretend that Latin never existed and learn the Greek equivalent. You see what I did there? Again, Latin. So this can feel quite overwhelming at times. You get the impression that you moved to Asia and are trying to learn Chinese and Japanese. And as far as I know, the Japanese use the word alibi. The Greeks don't. What a surprise. A few weeks ago, I was sitting and listening to my 2 oldest sons arguing about something in Greek. I have no idea what the topic of discussion was. I didn't understand the word. It made me think about becoming a parent who does not speak the primary language of his kids. The topic of children and languages helps you to often see the true nature of people around you. Over time, you start to see a pattern, and you realize that people who are always in front line of the resistance to capitalism are the ones who cannot see the world through any other lens but the economical one. Whenever they hear that my children are growing up with 3 or 4 languages, they get so proud and happy, and they assure me that it will be good for the future. And what they really mean when they say future is, of course, making money, because language in their anti-capitalism worldview is, what a surprise, a tool for nothing else than making money. Money, money, money. There is no free room for anything else in their mind. They look at me like I was a ghost when I try to explain that language is part of something bigger than the bank account. And then I feel like I'm a guest at a party I wasn't invited to, which leads me to my last point. Now I am become Gastarbeiter, the destroyer of happiness. I have my fair share of experience with people who, after living in Germany for 30 years, cannot write a letter or do not understand what was said on the TV. Those people are sometimes called parents. As a son, I was there to help them, to write that email and to translate that letter. And after 30 years, you are allowed to just ask yourself, really, after all those years, why can't you just learn the language? Don't get me wrong, I am not writing this as a pamphlet for empathy. The thought that painfully entered my mind some time ago was, if they couldn't do it, why should I? That is what keeps me awake at night. Because this is not just about language. This is not about replacing letters and words with others. Those letters form words, and those words then make sentences. And the structures that sentences are made of can differ a lot between languages. Because languages are not just there to share information. Languages are there to describe reality. My parents grew up and already lived in one linguistic reality before they migrated to another one. They migrated with their bodies, but never completely with their minds. This is the real tragedy of migration. Will this also be my story? Am I already stuck?